¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Erkt, how's it going? Michael Hassler, Yellow King, welcome, welcome, welcome. Quad Bennett, Heat 420, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. Cats, yes, cats indeed. They're cat emotes. Welcome. I finally got earbuds that have Bluetooth so I can use them with the phone. Nice. Very cool. Tired. Me too. Me too. Tired and hungry. Howdy, welcome. Alright, folks, I think I got everything ready. Whew. One step closer to the weekend, folks. One step closer. Folks, if you enjoy the content and you want to help support the channel, you can do so several different ways. You can follow on Twitch, like the stream if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's also the exclamation mark merch. You can check out the merch store there. Also, consider joining the Discord. There's a bunch of phenomenal people on the Discord, and we do movie nights. So feel free to join that on exclamation mark Discord. I still need to make more. Custom commands for the different social medias, but that'll work. That'll work. Alright, folks, let's get started. We have a few things to cover, so let's do it. Alright, folks, I think we should probably start here. Given Arizona's law that's about to go into effect, I think it's important. We'll just kind of set up like this whole this whole thing. Yeah, posted a few stories. I think this one here will definitely be good here. We also have this one, I believe. Yes. I'm slow today, but I'm here. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's get started, folks. Welcome, Echo Wrestle Dragon.
Many people.
Oh, shoot. I saw this one. I saw this one, too. Blue brother, how are you today? I'm hanging in there. Ponder Monkey, welcome. Busy, but here just took microdose. Just took a microdose. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of ground to cover. Thank you, Echo Wrestler Dragon. Let's get started.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and
Both sides wanted. No, that's not. No, not even remotely close. But go on.
in fact demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the ninth month.
True. True. The official Democratic position on abortion is murder. is up to and beyond the ninth month. Okay, like that is just absurd. That is just absurd on its face. Okay. That's literally not a thing. Okay, you're talking about murder. Clown's gonna clown. Yep. And people believe it too. That's what's infuriating about this is that people literally listen to this and be like, "Yep, that's what they believe. That's what the Democratic Party's position is on abortion. Up to and beyond the ninth month. Just ice that baby, I guess." Off your shitty child for all I care. Oh my god. Up to and beyond the ninth month. True. Let's just say Trump has no position on abortion. He'll adopt any position of which he thinks will bring him votes. True. True, but he already kind of like dug his grave here. Because literally less than 30 seconds in and he already boasted about being responsible for removing Roe versus Wade, which is true. Okay. So yeah. Even if he does or doesn't have a position personally,
The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what
execution after birth, okay? Conviction and imprisonment up to and beyond life, exactly.
it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth.
A thing that totally happens, by the way. A thing that totally happens, Many people are saying that they are literally grabbing these babies, okay? They're grabbing these babies and executing them, okay? I ended that when I ended Roe v. Wade. But the radical left Democrats, they want to execute babies after the ninth month. They literally want them to be born and then execute them. This is absurd. This is absurd. Absurd. There's no other word for it. Yeah, that's what I support. True.
Is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, that's called the Mott and Bailey. Because literally no one is advocating for, no one is advocating for killing children after they're born. I support abortion up to the 18th year. Yeah, if they make it to the 18th year on the dot, then they can live, I guess. So let's imagine it. They're shot after birth. You don't have to imagine it. Ask the Republican Party their position on school shootings.
You just watched Donald Trump boast about the Supreme Court's deeply unpopular Dobbs decision while simultaneously accusing Democrats of executing babies. Literally. See, what happens is if a woman has a baby and she's like, I just gave birth, it was a lot of work, but this baby's kind of uggo, I don't really want it. The doctor then throws it in the trash can.
That's literally what happens. Yep, true. A doctor literally grabs the baby and says, "Do you want this?" And and then the person says, "Nah, actually, I changed my mind after going through this life-altering process." Throw it in the trash can. Mouselander, welcome. Yeah, ugly babies for sure. School shootings are just delayed abortions. That is the primary position. That is the primary position of the Republican Party. That somehow they can't really square that one. You're right. It's just abortion and gun laws are still different topics. I think it was a jab at the concept of the Republican Party's position as pro-life. Yeah, as a mom, this checks out. Yeah, true. Yeah, as a parent, it's nice that the Democratic Party supports your right to literally go through life altering through a life altering process of giving birth, and then you just throw the child in the trash. Yep. Glad to know that the Democrats are supporting your right to do so. GOP drama queen, Trump on abortion.
That's what Democrats support, according to Donald Trump. Now, obviously, that's not true. He made that up. But the reason why he is strawmanning Democrats and pretending as if they support baby executions is because he wants to make them seem radical, when in actuality, he knows that most of the public views Republicans as radical, because they are. Now, in this video, he also went on to assure the public that his party strongly supports IVF, as well as exceptions for abortion when it comes to rape and incest. So he's trying to portray Democrats as the extreme ones and Republicans as the moderate.
Yeah, at least recycle them. True. I told the doc, put it back. Yep. Yeah, women's right to choose.
Ones. But that's obviously bullshit. Now, he also came out against a national abortion ban in this video. He didn't say that explicitly, but it was pretty clear that he thinks this should be a states' rights issue. Let's watch.
My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state.
Welcome, Landom Lazy Lizard Lounge. Yeah, abortion on demand. Exactly. True.
Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people.
And some will be executing babies after they are born.
I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing.
So you can tell that he's really trying to straddle the fence here, because on one hand, he wants his Force Brother supporters to know that he takes full responsibility for the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, and he unequivocally supports that decision. However, widespread fear over whether or not he would support a nationwide ban on abortion is kind of fucking up his chances of getting reelected. So this is his way of compromising and communicating to more moderate voters that he's not willing to go that far. The problem is that he's a compulsive liar and nobody actually believes him, nor should they, because this is also the man who supports Project 2025. Remember, this document has a goal of enacting a nationwide abortion ban. A lot of the people who wrote that document are part of Trump's inner circle and would likely be part of his second administration. So nobody believes him. Now, when it comes to forced birthers, who he's also trying to appease, they're not going to accept this position either. Because if you actually believe that abortion is literally tantamount to murder, you're not just going to accept that some states have the right to murder babies, right? They're not going to be okay with that. And it also doesn't help that Trump's own rhetoric feeds into this, because on one hand, he'll concoct the most outrageous lies about Democrats killing babies after they're born.
True. The one thing Trump realized, contrary to most Republicans, you can't win elections with the current Republican view on abortion. The current and long-standing view. The issue is that he wants to have it both ways, but honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because like Trump can literally say anything. He can literally contradict himself within 5 seconds of speaking, and the cult members will still follow and vote for him. Yeah, some will have food and education and healthcare and roads, and some won't. It's America, you know?
But then say, you know what, I respect states' rights to be able to do this. So if you say that these things that Democrats are doing are really bad, then it logically follows that you wouldn't want to give states the ability to do this, right? So you understand how his forced birther constituents aren't going to be okay with this either. And they're not. And they made that abundantly clear. As Politico reports, anti-abortion...
Give me 1 second, folks. Just 1 second. Yeah, so like on one hand, you can't simultaneously say that abortion is, on one hand you can't say like Democrats are literally threatening to murder babies as soon as they're out of the womb, while also saying like I guess in some states, some states are just gonna be murdering babies, and that's just the way it should be. Okay, that doesn't
rights
fly.
Groups are dismayed with Donald Trump for failing to endorse a national ban, but they are not abandoning him. Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, one of the most politically powerful...
Yeah, they're not abandoning him. Again, this dude can literally say anything. This dude can literally do and say anything, and they will not abandon him.
Powerful and well-funded
murder is a states' rights issue.
Anti-abortion groups said it was deeply disappointed in the former president's decision not to embrace a 15-week federal limit. But the organization isn't following through on plans it announced last year to oppose any presidential candidate who refuses to embrace such a policy. Catholic Vote President Brian Birch said leaving the issue to the states was not sufficient, but slammed Biden and added that the organization is confident a Trump administration will be staffed with pro-life personnel committed to pro-life policies. Anti-abortion rights groups view federal restrictions as key to counteracting the broad abortion protections that blue states such as California, Illinois, and New York have leaned on since the fall of Roe as they sought to become havens for abortion access. But they appear to be acquiescing to Trump's pitch that winning elections is more important than moving the needle on abortion policy. Now, the reason why they're acquiescing is because they don't really have a choice. Trump is going to be the only anti-abortion candidate on the ballot in November, and there's a reason why he waited until after the GOP primary was over to clarify his position. And now he's trying to let them all down easy, but it's not really going to work. And
Yeah, here's a follow-up question. I wonder what like the actual position would be if this is a hypothetical because it's highly unlikely, but I wonder what the actual position would be if a codification if Roe v. Wade was legislated, what exactly would happen? We argued about my position before, so I won't repeat my position. Yeah, there's only one correct position, and that's pro-choice.
prominent forced birthers are now pissed, including Trump's own former Vice President Mike Pence, who took to Twitter to say President Trump's retweet on the right to life is a slap in the face to the millions of pro-life Americans who voted for him in 2016 and 2020. And even Trump bootlicker Lindsey Graham publicly voiced displeasure with Trump's position, albeit respectfully, of course, because you don't want to upset daddy too much. Although
I blame myself for Lindsey Graham because the only reason he won the great state of South Carolina is because I endorsed him.
Trump was apparently upset because he took to Truth Social to bash Lindsey Graham after Lindsey Graham said that he disagreed with Trump's position. So, I mean, Republicans are kind of at a crossroads, right? Because their opposition to bodily autonomy has put them at odds with the majority of the American population. So they're faced with a choice: sacrifice their principles for the sake of winning elections, or double down even if it means losing. Now, it was an easy question for Trump since he never really had any principles in the first place, and I don't think he actually cares about this issue. But actual conservatives like Sean Hannity is perfectly fine with Trump selling out the forced birther movement if it means they can win elections. So here's what he had to say about this.
Now, if you ask me where I stand personally,
Exactly. If he had revealed his position before the end of the primary, he probably would have lost votes in the primaries. Maybe. But, like, honestly, I don't know how many votes he would have actually lost, to be quite frank. Like, instead of winning the primary with, like, 70% or 60-something, like the plurality, okay? He got a plurality of votes. He might have just gotten, like, a few points down. These people, they will vote for him regardless, okay? In my personal opinion is that it probably would not have mattered as much. Like, even if he did make this statement during, like, the middle of the freaking primaries or whatever, or right before the primaries started, or during, I don't know. It might not have moved the needle that much, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm pretty pro-life. If you ask me where I think the country is politically, I would
You mean pro-forced birth? No such thing as pro-life.
argue probably the first trimester or Dobbs 15 weeks. Any Republican that would ever take a position, and the president was clear in his statement on this too, any Republican that would take a position, no exceptions for rape, incest, or the mother's life, that is political suicide.
Yeah, it is.
Any Republican that calls for a flat-out ban politically, I'm talking politically now, that would be outright suicide. But I'll tell you one thing, and this would be an admonition for any conservative or any Republican running, is if you're going to take that extreme position, you are going to lose votes. If you want to change the country, and if you want to close the borders, and you want to turn this disastrous economy around, and you don't like what's happening with war in Europe, war in the Middle East, America ostensibly has abandoned our ally Israel under.
What? I'm sorry, I'm confused. What reality is he talking about? This isn't a thing that is happening. It wouldn't have cost him the primaries. He would have still won, but he avoided some risks. Okay, that's a fair point. Name one time Trump has been name one time Trump has been wrong. Wrong.
of the Biden administration. If you are sick and tired of defund, dismantle, no bail laws, etc., this election means everything. Now, any ad that any Republican in any district is running on abortion needs to be answered forcefully, immediately by any Republican candidate. If they don't do it, they are going to be positioned by the Democrats and likely lied about and demagogued about. But I thought the president was smart to get out in front of this. It's going to be a big issue. My opinion is the red wave that many expected in 22 didn't happen because of this issue.
It's ironic that he considers himself pro.
Yeah. Biden literally just signed a bill with 3 point something billion for Israel. Right. Like, I don't know what freaking reality Sean Hannity is living in. But yeah, that's not a thing that's happening.
Pro-life, yet supports Israel's genocide in Gaza. How very pro-life of him. But no Republican who agrees with Hannity actually thinks abortion is murder. And I say this because if they did, they wouldn't just casually allow murder to continue for the sake of winning elections or under the pretense of states' rights. How voters actually respond when they see real mass murder is they do what Democrats in states like Michigan and Wisconsin did in Democratic Party primaries. They voted uncommitted against Biden to pressure him to stop supporting Israel's genocide in Gaza. But the fact that forced birthers aren't even trying to leverage their votes to get Trump to buckle here tells me that they don't actually believe their own bullshit. They know that abortion is not murder. They just want to control people's bodies. Period. Now, another problem with Trump's unequivocal endorsement of states' rights on this issue is that people are much more nuanced than that, right? Moderate voters, they don't like...
Yeah, it's always been about control. Like, it's always been about control. That's it. That's it. It's religious extremism, religious zealotry, and it's just that. That's it. There's nothing more to it. It's not about protecting the potential clump of cells. It's not about protecting women. It's just about control. It's not about being pro-life. It's just about control.
Like this idea of supporting states' rights no matter what, because some states are pretty extreme, right? For example, there are states like Florida and Texas that have 6-week abortion bans. So if you support states' rights, then you support even that as well. Now, there's an example of this that I want to show you. So here's how abortion-supporting centrists on Morning Joe interpreted his comments.
Really surprised. I thought he'd try to weasel out of it a little bit more than he did. What he just said was he supports, like...
A little bit more? Yeah, forced birth, exactly.
Florida's 6-week ban.
Yep.
6-week ban, ban before women,
insane.
Before women know whether they're pregnant or not.
Dangerous.
And bans like Wisconsin had, you know, that 1849 was total ban. I'm not sure if it's still in effect now, but there are, again, crazy, extreme laws that have been passed that Donald Trump just said he supports.
Let's just face it, if women were the majority in state congresses, the debate wouldn't exist. Now there's a concept. Welcome, Kinetic Pause.
And he salutes and said, I'm responsible for that.
Yeah, he's proud of it, and Democrats should drive that message home, because for women, this is a matter of life and death, and the men who love them.
Listen, I don't necessarily think that Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski have their finger on the pulse when it comes to what average normie voters are thinking. Having said that, though, with respect to this issue, I do think that it's fair to say that a lot of pro-choice voters, the normies, the average moderate voters in America, they're going to view Trump's position in that same way, and they're going to continue to be as galvanized by this issue, if not more, after Trump made that comment. So he kind of backed himself into a corner here with this video, because in trying to appease everyone, he ended up appeasing no one. And what's hilarious is that the day before he released that video, he boasted about how his position on abortion would bring the entire country together and said he would negotiate something that would make both sides happy and bring peace on the issue for the first time in 52 years. But instead, he managed to piss off everyone. So good job, Trump.
Yeah, so the only correct and acceptable position is the pro-choice position. That is it. That is literally the only acceptable and fair and just position. That's it. That's literally it. There's no if and or buts about it. The government has no business dictating what you can and cannot do with your body. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. That's literally it. There's no that's it. There's only the only correct position is the pro-choice position. Let people choose, and let people have bodily autonomy. Period.
I guess. Now, having said that, though, I don't necessarily think that his comments are going to have that big of an impact on the election. And I say this because his clarifying comments, they're not going to change most voters' intentions, right? I mean, if you're pro-choice, you're still going to vote against Trump. And if you're a forced birther, you're still going to vote against Biden. That's not going to change. However, his lies about Democrats wanting to behead babies and shit like that, that could actually hurt him with moderate voters because it makes him look desperate for the fact that Americans, they just don't buy those lies about abortion anymore, especially in a post-Roe era where we've all seen the devastating consequences of abortion bans. And the reason why I say it could hurt him is because ads like this, Biden cut up an ad about this issue that I think is genuinely devastating for Donald Trump.
This is one of our Willow boxes. This is just filled with some of the things that we had started gathering for her while I was pregnant.
Yep.
There's her little baby book. This is the outfit that she was gonna maybe wear home from the hospital. All of these. This is the blanket that she was in. And these are her little footprints.
It's okay.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
That ad is utterly gut-wrenching. So when Trump said,
And like her story, she's not the only one. Like her story, there's many. Okay. And it would be awesome to see, like, the fact that this dude literally just said that he is proud of that. That he is proud of that is his accomplishment. That it would be awesome to see that spliced in to really hammer down the point that these people do not care. They do not care about you. They don't care if you literally nearly died twice. They are against bodily autonomy. Stuffed Pink Owl, welcome. It's forced birth in preparation to enforce the forced pregnancy. Yep.
says that he takes credit for Roe v. Wade being overturned, he's owning the consequences of that decision. He is owning that pain and suffering. He's the cause. And that's why him saying that, it's going to alienate moderate voters who are galvanized specifically by this issue. And it's specifically why Trump is trying to get voters to think that Democrats are actually the extremists on this issue. It's because everybody knows that Republicans are. That's why he wants moderates to think, we're the more reasonable ones. Democrats, they're the ones who are unreasonable. They're executing babies. Everybody knows that that's not true, especially if you're motivated to get out and vote because of this issue. So he is the bad guy that Democrats are making him out to be. And that ad is 100% spot on. So, he's made quite the mess for himself here, but good. Anything that hurts Trump in the election is something that I fully support. So keep talking, Trump, because odds are you're not going to help yourself.
True. Even if we disagree when abortion is medically necessary, it needs to be legal through the entire pregnancy. It just needs to not be the government's business. It's that simple. There's no disagreement here. It's just that you're wrong. Okay? So just to be clear, the only acceptable position is being pro-choice. Okay? That is literally it. Anything else, you're just wrong. There's no if, and, or buts about it. Fundamentally, it is about bodily autonomy, and that is non-negotiable. The government has absolutely no business dictating what you can and cannot do with your body. The government has no business dictating that. The only thing that the government needs to be doing is preserving the right, is preserving that right for you to be able to choose your own outcomes in terms of bodily autonomy. Still, if I disagree, but I do. You're just wrong. Okay? You're just wrong. The only acceptable position is pro-choice. You're just wrong. It's that simple. The only business the government has is protecting everybody's right to bodily autonomy and self determination. That's it. That's the only thing that the government has a business doing in this situation. Old Snake Twitch, welcome.
The Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden.
Well, this video has gotten out and is causing...
I respect your position, I really do, but I just disagree. You're just wrong. I'm telling you, you're just wrong. If you don't believe in anything other than... if you don't believe in anything other than pro-choice and leaving it up to the person who is going through this and the person who is literally being affected by this and their doctor... because that's the only people that need to be involved in these decisions are the actual person, okay, and the doctor who's going to be performing said recommended procedure. That is it. That's it. There's literally no one else's input matters after that. No one else's input matters after that. The only thing that the government needs to do is protect that right. For people to be able to choose their own outcomes. There's no disagreement here. Does that make sense? You're just wrong. It's just incorrect, and it's amoral. That's it. There's only one correct position on this, and that is pro-choice. That's it. Is there any equivalent positions a man could be in to make this point any clearer? It would. I mean, like, yeah, it would be. It would be like saying like every man. It's kind of tough. But like, I guess the best thing that I could think of is like every man has to have like, every man has to have like, a vasectomy by like forced until they're whatever 25 or something like that. I don't know, like something that would like fundamentally remove a man's right to bodily autonomy that's specifically targeted. So like forced vasectomies, like no one would be in favor of that. No one would be in favor of that. When the fetus would be able to live outside the womb, an abortion has to be legal. It wouldn't be an abortion at that point. If the fetus can be, if the fetus can live outside the womb, it wouldn't be an abortion, right? So what is this moot point? There's no such thing as an abortion when a fetus would be able to live outside the womb. It would just be induced birth, dude. Does that make sense? So again, it's very simple. You're just wrong. Y'all see the Arizona Supreme Court on the floor and speaking in tongues? Yeah, old Snake Twitch. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's like some, like that movie Red State or something. The fetus can't live on its own and is totally dependent on the mother. Exactly. And the mother has her own right to bodily autonomy that can't be infringed on. Period. Full stop. Exactly, Stuffed Pink Cow. There's no other room for any other position. That's it. Like there's no arguing it. If you're trying to say like, oh, well, what about the 9-month-old fetus? Are you going to abort that? No. Literally not a thing that happens. Okay? Literally not a thing that happens. It's called birth at that point. Okay? It's called birth. It's called inducing birth. That's such a silly example to use. That it's like, come on, man, that's pretty pathetic. That's pathetic. It's bad enough you're talking about infringing on bodily autonomy. If it weren't for the history of effed up power dynamics, institutionalized rape and human trafficking, disenfranchisement, etc., no man has the right to enforce any law against a woman's bodily autonomy. Yeah, or anybody's. Like, I wouldn't want an entire movement that forces me to do whatever. That forces me to do whatever to my body. Like that, it's just not a thing that, like, especially like when I'm talking about like a government legislating this, right? I will never be in favor of a law that forces a person to do something to their body or to remove that choice away from them when it's their decision. They need to be the ones who determine that outcome, right? Yeah, they're executing babies after birth. Yeah, you know what? True, Blue Brother. It's good. We just execute them. All right, that's my position. Any calculation you make that requires a woman to give up bodily autonomy in favor of someone else has to be interpreted as a continuation of that legacy of oppression against women. Yep.
The Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy, is Biden.
Well, this video has gotten out and is causing quite the commotion within the RFK Jr. campaign for president. So RFK Jr., of course, is running as an independent, currently polling at around 12%. And some people have wondered, what is even the point of this campaign if clearly he can't win? Not necessarily because he's polling at 12%, but more so because of the way the system works with first past the post and the Electoral College. He can't win as an independent in this current system. But Rita Palma here, who is Kennedy's campaign New York director, sort of just let it all out. It's just, it's very clear with her intentions.
Kinetic pause. I think the point of the original statement, because maybe you arrived after the fact, but the whole point was that Sean Hannity made the comment that the Biden administration is abandoning Israel, when that is not even remotely close. That's the point. The point is that is a ludicrous concept, to even think that the Biden administration is abandoning Israel when throughout this entire time, okay, we're talking like the entire time, they have been Congress and Biden have been continuing to fund Israel, have been continuing to give them weapons, so on and so forth. So like the concept that the Biden administration is, or the comment that the Biden administration is abandoning Israel is laughable. That's the point, in case you needed a little more extra to that. Yeah, it's like the who call Biden a socialist. True.
That she wants Trump to win, and she is working with RFK to get Trump to win. So I'm going to play this video for you, and I'll go over some of the strategy here and some of the reaction from the Kennedy campaign, because they aren't too happy about this getting out.
So there's no Biden voters in the House, right? No. Okay, good. Things, I guess, will change over time because you do have to only pick one candidate at the end of the day. But the Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy, is Biden. Since Biden is...
Just going to pause there. You heard it there. The mutual enemy of the Trump voter and the RFK voter, or the Bobby voter, is Joe Biden. It's very clear. And she lays out the strategy now.
Counting on us with Bobby in the mix. My thought is for the Republicans. See, Bobby right now, he's pulling from both sides. Right now, he's actually pulling a little bit more from Biden, which explains why the DNC...
I don't think so. Firefly, welcome.
Is kind of ganging up on him. They have a special committee to go after independent candidates. Yeah, they say independent candidates, like non-affiliated candidates. They really mean Bobby, because Bobby's the only third party that anybody's taking seriously. So they developed a committee just to go after him and to get him off of the ballot in any way they can. Especially, it seems as though they're going after the battleground states more than the deep blue states. Bobby's moving the blues on his own. if the Republicans accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, Chicago, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, most of the Northeast is going to go blue, why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden and get those 28 electoral votes in New York? The card's a little wrong. It says 26 electoral votes. Give those 28 electoral votes to Bobby rather than to Biden, thereby reducing Biden's 270. And we all know how that works, right?
All right. So,
Yeah, so it's pretty clear what the game plan is here. Welcome, Kamikaze, and welcome. If Trump was disconnected from reality, RFK really puts it to a whole new level. I agree. This is an exercise in futility. Maybe in their heads they think that they have enough to just pick at some of the electoral votes, because, you know, God knows that this race is going to be pretty freaking close as it is. And maybe that's the goal. Although I don't know how that's going to be accomplished. But yeah, it was a bill and he signed it recently, fully funding the annual defense spending for Israel. If we are abandoning Israel, that wouldn't even be funded in this budget. True. Yeah, like, I think that's basically like the point. Exactly. The point being is that, like, it is ludicrous to say that that the Biden administration is abandoning Israel. When that's literally remotely not the case, and they constantly get funding and weapons. Like, you don't even have to go that far. You know, if you want to be more technical, even if that money was already pre-appropriated or whatever, I mean, like, you don't have to go that far. Yeah. I think the overall point still stands.
I'll finish whatever's left of this video in a second here, but let's go over this strategy, because I appreciate the fact that Rita Palma recognizes that Bobby can't become president in the current system,
but the effort to torpedo you know, some of the electoral college states could have an impact, although I don't see RFK Jr. having that much momentum behind him for him to even be able to do that. That's the strategy, if that makes sense. The Bobby rebrand is a masterstroke.
But the strategy here to try and get Trump to win is just a little hazy to me. So she says here,
I'm not playing this game. Jesus.
If
the FMF appropriations were done in last spring of 2023, and it's an old bill. Yeah, but it's still within the Biden administration, right? Like, he still has all of this. You know, assuming that's the case, which, you know, I'm pretty sure you're right. But I think the point is, even if it was an appropriations bill that was done last year, him signing it, and Congress is continuing to approve this, is in no way, shape, or form abandoning Israel. That Tom came had spammed at me constantly too. Yeah. It was in the latest bill. To change a past law, you need to pass a new law. Right, but this is all happening in the Biden. This is all happening in the Biden administration, right? Like, that's a fair point to say, right? It's all happening under the Biden administration, you know. Again, that to say that the Biden administration has abandoned Israel is ludicrous.
Republican voters accepted the fact, voters accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, all these blue states, most of the Northeast is going blue. Why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden. Give those 28 electoral votes in New York to Bobby rather than Biden. What's weird to me about this strategy, and look, it's her job to get votes to RFK, of course, so she's going to make this kind of attempt to do that. But if your whole point, if the whole ultimate point here is to get Trump to win, which it is, I'll finish the video, then why not just get the Bobby voters to vote for Trump? Yeah, and by the way, even if that were to happen, Trump is still not going to win, New York State. Like some of these states are just California. Like this attempt here to this is where a lot of this gets messed up, is this assumption that these no affiliation voters at 23%, that they're all voters for Bobby Kennedy. When they're not voting for RFK. This is, you can't assume every single voter who is not a Democrat or Republican is now a RFK voter. That's insane. So, but yeah, in this scenario, sure, if every single non-affiliated voter and every single Republican voted for Donald Trump, yeah, I guess Trump would win in New York. But that's that's both not possible, but also doesn't make any sense because the no affiliation voter is all over the place. They're not all for RFK. It's a ridiculous strategy. But it's worth noting that this campaign spokesperson is very directly saying, I want Trump to win.
Seems like more people saying Greens over RFK. Just the idea that Trump could win New York sounds strange to me. Yeah, that's not a thing that's happening. I seriously doubt that.
And we all know how that works, right? 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. Does everybody follow that? Okay.
Yeah, I follow. It makes very little sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, right? It makes perfect sense, because the whole point, whether or not this strategy is going to work is one thing, but it makes perfect sense. They're just running an anti-Biden campaign. That's it. There's nothing more to it. There's nothing more to it.
But then again, I am following it. But it's worth pointing out, Palma is also a local anti-vaccine mandate activist.
Makes sense.
Tells you why she's so pro-RFK. Why a lot of people working for the campaign are pro-RFK. This is their whole identity is this. But there is some pushback from the Kennedy campaign. Now, we could speculate as to why they're pushing back. I think
post-election, all of us will have something in common with RFK, Jill Stein, and Ross Perot, that we've never carried a state into the Electoral College. True. It's like if Biden won Alaska, will never happen. Yeah, but how much Electoral College votes does Alaska have? You could have still withheld it, including it's technically illegal given what Israel's doing anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. But, it's very simple. John Kirby just gets up there and says that Israel has done nothing wrong. So that's how that happens. Cool. Just la 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 la.
I think it's clear they don't want this to hurt the potential that RFK may have in getting people who don't like Trump. So if people don't like Biden and don't like Trump, but they don't like Trump more, or I should say they hate Trump more, they want to be able to get those voters. But if they hear this, if those voters hear this, they may think, okay, I'm going to waste my vote for a campaign that wants Trump anyways. So Palma confirmed to CNN the legitimacy of the video in a statement to CNN. Kennedy campaign spokesperson Stephanie Speer downplayed Palma's role in the campaign and said her comments do not reflect the campaign strategy. Quote, Rita Palma is a ballot access consultant responsible for scheduling volunteer shifts for her upcoming signature collection drive in the Empire State. She is not involved in electoral strategy nationally or in New York. This was not a campaign event. Palma was speaking as a private citizen, and her statements in no way reflect the strategy of the Kennedy campaign, which is to win the White House with votes from former Trump and Biden supporters alike. So this, you know, it's weird to say, but Rita Palma is actually more rational than Stephanie Spear here.
Whew. I think Conscious Canuck, welcome. I think both parties have no idea how weak their footing is. You're disagreeing something with, you yeah, I think both of you are just talking past each other, okay? When there's really like no, you know, there's no, it doesn't change the overall, point. But anyways, got a good call. Coworker was like going December, coming back on Monday, and microdose kicking in too. Nice. The day Trump wins New York is just as probable as Biden winning Alaska.
Because Stephanie Spear is pretending that Kennedy can become president by getting both votes. Kennedy, RFK is not going to win. Not because it's RFK, but because he's an independent running in a system that is first past the post and electoral college. That is why he's not going to win as an independent. It's because he's neither a Republican or a Democrat. That is why he can't win. So you could argue here that Rita Palma is actually the more rational of the two because she recognized that RFK can't win. But to refute what Stephanie Spear here is saying, Palma is listed as the point of contact for multiple petition training events on the Kennedy campaign.
To be fair, I don't think they're expecting to win, right? Like, she was very clear as to what the plan was, right? It's not about winning for them. It's about torpedoing Biden. That's what this is about.
Campaign website featuring her official Kennedy campaign email address. If Rita Palma was a nobody, just some ballot access consultant, she wouldn't have an official Kennedy campaign email address. So this is somebody who works for RFK Jr., clearly. Now, from Politico here, Spear said Palma was never a staffer with the campaign, only a consultant. As I said, that was against what Palma was saying. But in the video, Palma said the campaign had hired her. Quote, I got a call from the campaign and they were going to hire me as their New York state director. And I said, okay, I want to take the job, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is part of my messaging, that we want to get rid of Biden in New York State. If I'm allowed to preach that, if I'm allowed to get that message out there, then I will definitely work for the campaign. And my boss said, okay. I believe her.
Resulting in the big old nothing burger, to be honest. I don't know, like, what the meaningful impact is actually going to be, if that's what you're talking about. I don't know what the actual meaningful impact is going to be. I think that the takeaway is that this is the plan. If RFK Jr. can meaningfully split the Biden vote, and that is very bad news for the country, given that he's best known as an anti-vax crank, true. This feels icky all around, true. It feels like it's more likely he splits the Trump vote. I feel like that would be more likely. Like RFK drawing more Trump voters would be more likely than RFK drawing more Biden voters. I think that's a more likely possibility. The last independent to ever become U.S. president was Kiefer Sutherland, and designated survivor. Wouldn't RFK be splitting the Trump vote and Green split the Biden vote? Maybe. But it is more likely that RFK splits the Trump vote than it is RFK splitting the Biden vote. If that makes sense.
She wouldn't have an email address from the campaign otherwise. So this is, look, maybe they didn't tell her, hey, sure, you can work towards this, but don't tell people that in a public event where they can record you. But sure, work towards that without being open about it. And maybe she didn't realize that. But clearly that is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is really going to hurt the RFK campaign, because I don't know how much support they were getting otherwise. Look, I know he's polling around 12% nationally, but he's polling from both sides. Like, there is in this video, Rita, discusses how RFK is polling more from Biden, but there is polling showing he's polling more from Trump. So it's
it's more likely that he pulls from Trump than he would from Biden. Watch more garbage TV. Sorry. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry if I didn't catch the reference. RFK is going to hurt the RFK campaign. I suppose ADT is going to catch up on all the 4th season of 24 real quick. No way.
I think it's a toss-up. I think he's kind of pulling from both, and it doesn't really swing, in either direction strongly. But to show you, this isn't what Rita said there in that video isn't really any different than how RFK has been positioning himself with Biden and Trump. RFK Jr., this is just last week, said that Biden is more of a threat to democracy than Trump, the guy who tried to overthrow an election.
True.
And the reason he said this too is also insane, completely insane. So Kennedy admitted, so this is during a CNN interview.
Harvard University has just unveiled the mechanism which activates your body's natural immune system to target zombie cells.
That Trump tried to overthrow the election 4 years ago, and he said it's appalling that he cannot defend it. But he argued, RFK argued, that's nothing compared to Instagram suspending his account.
Sorry. Sorry. How much you want to bet that that ad was going to sell you some dubious, medically dubious items? Let me rewind that because this is important. This is to really drive the point home.
Insane. So Kennedy admitted, so this is during a CNN interview, that Trump tried to overthrow the election 4 years ago, and he said it's appalling that he cannot defend it. But he argued, RFK argued, that's nothing compared to Instagram suspending his account.
True. Instagram suspending his account. That's definitely Biden's fault, and that's definitely much more of a threat to democracy than a little insurrection. Yep. When I think of democracy, I think of my ability to have an Instagram account. Because if I don't have an Instagram account, then where's the freedom? Okay, where's the freedom? Maybe I want to be a zombie. RFK is a nutcase. 3 grumpy old men running for president at pace of the pace of people 2 generations younger than themselves. One is trying to glide into heaven with devout Zionism on. One is desperately trying to stay out of prison, and the last one is basically screaming into the void. Yeah. When I think of democracy, I don't think of the U.S. I don't blame you for that. Yeah, you forgot one is trying not to get sent to hell. True. Wait, who's the other one? The libertarian candidate? Am I wrong? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, what good is my vote without Instagram? True.
In 2021 for spreading conspiracy theories about the COVID vaccines, which, you know, of course, Vanity Fair is writing this part out. But I watched the interview. This is what he argued, that Biden used his power to pressure Instagram to ban him from the...
True. Biden personally went up to Mark Zuckerberg and said, you know what? You need to ban Bobby, okay? This is the only way. You need to ban Bobby. And then Mark Zuckerberg would be like, yes, sir, and I will personally ban Bobby for you. That's exactly how it happened. And because of that, Biden is now a bigger threat to democracy. Yeah, Biden's so petty. I think our political system makes and attracts unhinged narcissists. They're all ridiculous. True. Oh man, yeah. No democracy. Democracy is when democracy is when you have an Instagram account that you use to peddle anti-vax nonsense. That's the pinnacle. That is the pinnacle of democracy. When I'm able to have a Instagram account to spread nonsense without repercussions. That's real freedom, okay? That's real freedom. We want Bobby back on Insta. If you acted a little more convincing, I would almost have believed you. Well, I certainly hope not. I gotta make it like as obvious as possible, right? I can't sell it too much. Folks, have you looked deep inside yourselves? And have you thought truly about what democracy means? Has everybody in this chat truly thought and had a moments of introspection as to what the pillars of democratic institutions mean? Because let me tell you, okay, the true meaning of democracy, okay? The true meaning of democracy okay, is when I, and not just me, okay? Don't think that this is about me, okay? The true meaning of democracy is when all of us, okay, have the ability, okay, to have an Instagram account. Okay, and here's the follow-up because this is really important, okay? This is really important to our democratic institutions. Is to have an Instagram account to be able to speak our minds freely about vaccine mandates and about how vaccines cause this or cause that, and how vaccines do or don't do or whatever. That can you hear that? That is freedom, okay? And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, okay? That's right. No matter how hateful your speech, no matter how much misinformation you post, the true meaning of democracy, the true bedrock of democratic institutions is your Instagram account, okay? And I'll even go further. Not just your Instagram account, your Twitter account, okay? Your YouTube account, okay? Never mind that these are private companies that have their own parameters. Your Facebook account. Incidentally, all of these are owned by incredibly wealthy oligarchs. But let's not talk about that, okay? That is true freedom, when you have these accounts and be able to literally do whatever you want with no consequence. I saw it. Is that much better? Do you believe? Do you believe now? I've been taught about democracy in school not just once, but countless of times. No matter how much misinformation, correct? Is it Christmas? He sees you when you're posting. He knows you're still awake. Speaking of Twitter, thanks for the follow. No problem. 3 pillars of democracy: presidential helicopter interviews, Congress continuously howling at the moon, and SCOTUS interrupting their billionaire vacations occasionally to voice their unconstitutional opinions. Yeah. Let freedom ring, folks.
The platform. And because of that, that is worse somehow than a president trying to overturn an election. The banning of the RFK account, which Biden, by the way, didn't. The White House did not tell Instagram to ban RFK. They did.
Right. That's just silly on its face. Okay. Heat with the 10 biddies. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. That's just silly on its face. Okay. That's just never. That's a thing that has never happened.
Suggest that, hey, these social media account or platforms should try to root out disinformation, lies about COVID vaccines, but they didn't go to Instagram and say, hey, ban RFK right now. Like that. and by the way, let's say they did. Would that be worse than a president trying to overturn an election in
No. Even if that was the case, that would be concerning if the government was targeting specific individuals, trying to get their social media accounts, specifically going to them and saying you need to shut this shit down. That would be a little bit worrying, but when compared to literally 5 seconds ago, you were just talking about how somebody, how about the other guy who's incidentally also still running somehow, egged on an insurrection. Okay. And also is currently facing trials for the overturning, for the attempt to overturn said election.
Multiple ways, and then launching or helping to launch an insurrection at the Capitol. Would the banning of RFK's account on Instagram be worse than that? I hope you would agree that that's ridiculous. But this is what RFK was trying to argue. Quote, the question was, who was a worse threat to democracy? And what I would say is, I'm not going to answer that question. Yet he goes on to answer it, saying, but I can argue that President Biden is, because the First Amendment. So I'm not going to answer that question. But
first of all, the First Amendment said that Congress shall make no law. Yeah. Conscious Canuck with the 20 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. One of the pillars of democracy is that power is always given for a limited amount of time. Thinking about the Supreme Court, the U.S. is not a democracy. I mean, for many reasons, yes. But also, I would say that it's not more about, the fact that power is given a limited time or not. I think it's, more about how the institutions are organized so that the people get to choose that. Does that make sense? So if a representative is elected, they have to keep continuously running for re-election. And if they are good representatives that represent the people, they will continue to be re-elected. Should there be term limits? Term limits, I have grown less, inclining less and less on term limits. Should the Supreme Court have some kind of limit? Probably, because these aren't elected positions. These are appointed positions. So should the Supreme Court have more limits? Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, the only alternative, or I think the more democratic approach would be, hey, why don't the people elect the Supreme Court? But that brings a whole different dynamic. But if you are going to appoint the Supreme Court, then they should have term limits. They shouldn't be lifetime appointments. Does that make sense? There should be no reason as to why one of the most powerful institutions that we have are just like permanent. Like if one administration gets in and just kind of destroy that, they can just cement that majority for decades and decades and decades. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. That's undemocratic. So I'm not even gonna disagree on that. Yes, the term limits the supreme jury. Yeah. Whenever someone is elected for life, it contradicts the idea of democracy. Right, but it's not that they're just like elected and then they stay in power for life, right? Does that make sense? That's not okay. That's not okay. So when you, as a Supreme Court justice, when you get appointed, because you're not even elected, when you get appointed for life, that's fundamentally undemocratic, right? The only, I guess, remedy would be to either have term limits on the Supreme Court or put them up for like election.
Here I am answering the question saying that Biden is, because Instagram banned me because Joe Biden told them to. Complete nut job. So to end on here, this is Ronna Epting, executive director of MoveOn, who have been very aware of what the RFK campaign has been trying to do even before this, saying, quote, "We're going to let folks know he can't win, but he can help Trump win. We're going to let folks know that he said he supported abortion bans. We're going to let folks know that his vice presidential pick, Nicole Shanahan, an attorney, calls IVF one of the biggest lies. And we're going to let folks know that his dark money super PAC is being funded by Trump donors." All of that is true. And, it's also worth noting just this idea that their strategy here, or at least Rita Palma's strategy, is the blue states getting Trump voters to vote for RFK Jr. in blue state. If that was any kind of worry, the Democratic camp or party would be on that. Like, they would be focused on that. The reason why they're focused on swing states and why groups like MoveOn are focused on swing states is because they're afraid of losing, that 1 or 2% that could go to RFK Jr. in a purple state that would otherwise help Trump to win that state. So that's why it makes a lot more sense to focus on
the Supreme Jury was an alternative plan at our founding. I forgot you're right. I was thinking about the German Supreme Court, but in the U.S. Supreme Court, justices aren't elected; they're nominated, which is even worse. Right, and they're, based on whatever administration, whatever party has power, and they're appointed for life. So yeah, that's super undemocratic.
Independent voters on those swing states compared to blue states. It's, again, the whole strategy here, I wouldn't worry about it because it doesn't make any damn sense. But this video does really showcase what the RFK Jr. campaign is about, or at least how people on the campaign feel about Trump versus Biden. They clearly would prefer a Trump victory over Joe Biden.
Yep. All right, folks, let's switch gears here.
Yeah, that's the size of the ore body that's going to be pulled out from underground.
You're telling me that this mountain that we're looking at is the volume of stuff they want to pull out of
That's what they're going to pull out.
A lot can happen when your town realizes that it's sitting on top of billions of dollars. I'm from a place like that, West Virginia. Abundant in natural riches, but somehow one of the poorest states in the country. That's the story of so many towns across America. But I came to Arizona because I'm pretty sure the next big part of that story is happening here. The town of Superior is home to one of the largest copper deposits in the world. Copper's everywhere. It's in your phone, it's in your car, and it's also, we're told, an essential ingredient for the transition to green energy. But the copper here isn't being mined, at least not yet. A decades-long fight between a rural Arizona community and the biggest mining companies in the world has reached a boiling point.
We don't want our church to be destroyed, just like Catholics have their Vatican. If there was copper ore under the Vatican, they wouldn't want to destroy the Vatican.
And years of corruption.
That was probably the dirtiest piece of legislation I've seen.
Have divided the community.
People of Superior, we're ready to have these jobs.
You know, they promise the jobs are going to last for 40 years. That ain't going to happen.
You've heard that before.
Oh, I've heard it twice.
This story is about a lot more than copper. It's about who gets to decide the future of a place when a ton of money is discovered a little over a mile underground.
We're not going to stop. No federal policy, no federal law is going to get me off this land.
It has all the chrome, see? And 66 doesn't have all this chrome.
The whole thing is chromed out, Hattie.
Yeah, all
This is what the kids like to call a whip.
Yeah. There you go. A whip.
Arizona is not my favorite place in the country.
I come from 5 generations of mining. My grandfather, my father, myself, my son, and my grandson. Mining's been in Superior's blood since the get-go.
When was it really thriving?
Thriving, I would have to say, between the 60s and the 80s. That was a good time here in Superior.
We had grocery stores, we had jewelry store, and we had anything that you wanted, we had it here.
Yeah.
And then the mine closed and boom and bust.
In 1982, after 70 years of operation, the Magma copper mine in Superior shut down. When that happened, half the town's residents left.
I seen grown men cry because we didn't know it was going to come down. What are these guys going to do? They've never experienced it. You know, this was the only occupation they had, you know?
Yeah. Henry eventually went to work at another mine in San Manuel. He was there for just 3 years before that mine shut down too. It's a familiar story for anybody who lives along Arizona's copper corridor.
You've been to Globe, Miami. You've seen Superior. I don't know if you've been to Kearney or Hayden. All part of the copper corridor, all mines. And yet, do you see what the towns look like?
Pollution, contamination, illness, all that comes into play.
Yeah, maybe it's almost like they don't care. They will literally come in there, set up shop, exploit every little drop that they have, and then peace out. Doesn't matter about the workers, doesn't matter about the community getting poisoned, doesn't matter about the cultural, environmental impacts, none of that. Nope, doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how many dollar signs are on top of that mountain.
After the money's gone.
Or on that mine.
It happened here before, and it happened in San Manuel, where I worked at. And that's what we want to prevent.
But when that experience of mining is all that a community knows, it can be hard to imagine anything else, especially when there's still money left in the ground. In 1995, a massive deposit of copper was discovered just outside of Superior, below a parcel of land known as Oak Flat. Less than a decade later, a company called Resolution Copper began developing a plan to extract some 40 billion pounds of copper from the land. That plan would wipe Oak Flat off of the map. But Oak Flat is also home to something else.
If this story sounds really interesting, I need to get to bed. See you once again. Apologize for my mistakes in English. See you soon. No problem. Thank you for stopping by.
I want you to sit there and think, oh, wow, the Indians are talking. Oh, wow, they sang. They did their prayers. No, this is for you. This is for us. This is for the Mother Earth.
Wensler Nossi is the former chairman of the San Carlos Apache. a tribe of about 11,000 who largely live on the San Carlos Reservation.
Let's shake our hands first. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, did it the wrong way. This way.
I guess.
Oh, no, wait, it's the other way. How this way? Wait,
How is it like?
This way.
Should we try with the other one? For years, Wenzler and his family have been leading a movement to protect Oak Flat. For how many years has this place been significant to your culture?
To my culture, honestly, since time immemorial. Our language and our songs, they're all intertwined with the land. That understanding itself is like a cornerstone to our religion. And that's why Oak Flat is so sacred. When we take things like this away, our people will die with it.
Resolution Copper wouldn't be the first company to destroy sacred Apache land. The history of mining in the region, to the Apache, has always been a history of violence and displacement.
You know, I come from a family before me that lived in hardship for the price of what America is today. We're waking up America to make them realize that you're living in a corporate world and you're destroying everything, and do you want to be a part of that?
The company...
Most people would say no, but we live in a system where there's less and less and less option but to live in a corporate world, right? The only thing that matters here is not the indigenous people's culture, not the indigenous people's health that live there, not the indigenous people's livelihood. None of that matters, except there are X amount of billion in that area, and we need to extract it.
Known as Resolution Copper is actually a joint venture of two foreign companies, BHP and Rio Tinto, the largest mining companies in the world. You don't get that big without breaking a few eggs, or, in this case, poisoning a few towns. But the proposed mine in Arizona would be something of an experiment, a type of mining that's never been attempted at this scale before. What are we looking at here, Henry? Walk us through, if you don't mind.
What we're looking at here is a 3D model. We have the Eiffel Tower dead center there, which is made to scale.
That's the scale.
Yeah, that's at 1,000 feet.
The type of mining Resolution Copper plans to do is called block cave mining.
When you have block cave mining, what you do is you're opening up the earth. A 2-mile wide subsidence hole, 1,000 feet deep.
Aside from the gaping hole, Resolution Copper's proposed project could have serious impacts on the surrounding environment. For starters, more than 90% of the extracted rock will be left over as toxic waste, or tailings. And we're talking about 1.5 billion tons.
These are the tailings right here from the old smelter, that black rock.
Wow. Drive around the area long enough and you'll start to see these mountains of tailings everywhere. Over time, if they're not properly maintained, the toxic sludge can leak into the ground and the water supply.
There's a lot of stuff in there that makes people sick. Arsenic, rare metals, things that cause high cancer rates. In the town of Hayden that we're driving through right now has cancer rates higher than normal.
And all of that waste needs to be transported, which requires a lot of water.
250 billion gallons of water. Arizona right now is in a 23-year drought. The amount of water that this mine will use a day is enough to sustain a city of 160,000 people. That's the city of Tempe, Arizona. We're opposed to this type of mining because it's going to affect our environment, our land, and our water.
All of this raises an important question. How did Resolution Copper get the consent of the community?
So who pays for the cleanup? Oh, man. Take a wild guess at who ends up footing the bill for that. Because of course it does. They have lots of water in the desert. Yeah, definitely. An abundance.
To proceed with this project? The answer is
they
didn't need to.
Ah! Oh my god, I didn't even need to watch that part.
You see, Oak Flat used to be protected land.
Yeah, and then it was legislated that it wasn't because corporate lobbying made it so. Let me guess.
But when the copper deposit was discovered in 1995, Resolution Copper started lobbying Congress to...
Oh, dude, no way. Oh, man, I'm a freaking prophet. I'm a freaking prophet. Look at that, folks. Man.
Pass different versions of the same bill.
This cozy deal before us today is the same deal we saw before and before and before.
A land swap that would give them full rights to mine the copper under Oak Flat.
Man, if we have a future at all, we got to say no to this bill.
All of those bills failed, due in large part to concerns about the impact of the mine. But in 2014, something unexpected happened.
Good morning, everybody.
At the last minute, the land swap was slipped into an 1,100-page must-pass bill to fund the U.S. military. It was added by Senator John McCain, who had taken campaign contributions from Resolution Copper.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. That's why we listen to you. No, I mean, this is the same story. This is the same story. The same, like the song goes, it's the same old story, same old song and dance. Yeah. Corporations see dollar signs, and if they can't access the dollar signs outright, they'll lobby Congress to make it so. So unfortunately, it's not because, you know, I have some kind of crystal ball. This is the same freaking playbook. Yeah, no surprise. You're allowed to live here until it's time to extract, right? And it's just exactly, it's gross, and it's even more gross the way they just slipped it in there, in a must-pass bill for defense authorization or whatever. Yeah, tales old as time.
And by Senator Jeff Flake, who was once a lobbyist for Rio Tinto.
Nice.
Notice that Congress people, they're not millionaires when they go in, but they're millionaires when they come out. Why are you going to listen to people like us when you've got, Resolution Copper, who is handing out money to make the legislation go in their direction?
The land swap ultimately passed, buried in between funding for missile defense programs and space activities.
Nice. Just casually just put it right in there, because it definitely has to do with defense spending. I gotta start these burgers, no problem.
And it laid out a simple process for handing over the keys to Oak Flat. A federal environmental impact statement would need to be created, and within 60 days of that happening, no matter what the statement said, Oak Flat would be free to be mined.
The land exchange will...
Like, what is even the point then? If no matter if the environmental impact said, like, hey, this is really freaking bad, like, they're gonna still start mining, so I don't even know what the point would be then. Like, it's just a charade at this point, if that's the case. It's a facade, a charade.
It was very much a long time coming. People of Superior, we're ready to have these jobs. This is an arranged marriage. The ore body isn't going anywhere. Copper mining isn't going anywhere. We have to learn to get along. We're connected whether we want to be or not.
Today.
Yeah, at the small price of just extracting, exploiting, and destroying this entire land, just a small little asterisk there,
A Resolution Copper's influence can be seen everywhere you look in Superior. The company's invested millions here, funding festivals, health centers, and scholarships.
They've always taken care of all of the schools, always donating backpacks. The other day, the mine was handing out $50 gift certificates to the people from the food bank to go down to the Save Money Market and buy groceries.
Right.
That's awesome. This mine has helped us 100%.
Resolution Copper promised.
Yeah. So, yeah, this company has been slowly buying favors and influence and PR because they know that what's coming is going to be so much freaking worse. And they're basically cushioning themselves before inevitably the horror stories start happening, right? Once this mine theoretically gets into play, right? Yeah. I wonder if these folks knew about this company and their poisoning of other communities in other countries. I wonder if they would have the same opinion Yeah, don't resist, just let it happen. Is this Handmaid's Tale or what?
Promises that the mine will employ 1,500 workers directly when the mine's up and running.
And then
But
they'll
those
fire
jobs
them.
probably won't look like the jobs that built Superior.
They'll be temporary. They probably won't even pay as much in comparison to in today's standards.
One of the cost-saving benefits of block cave mining is that it's done mostly by robots. Robots that can be operated from hundreds of miles away by a remote workforce. But even if some of those jobs are given to locals, there's no guarantee that they'll last.
Yeah.
They promise the jobs are going to last for 40 years. That ain't going to happen.
You've heard that before.
Oh, I've heard it twice. And we've heard that here prior to the mine shutting down in '82. Don't worry about it, General Manager. This mine will never shut down. You have a job here. You're all going to retire here. Poof, they shut it down. In Salmon Well, they did the same thing to us.
The San Manuel mine was also owned by BHP, the parent company of Resolution Copper. When it shut down, 30 years worth of copper was left in the ground. All of those promises about jobs and long-term security evaporated when the company discovered other more profitable opportunities elsewhere.
I think they all go to the same school of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called economics. It's called business economics.
A lot of promises, and you just sprinkle a little money here, a little money there, backpacks for the kids here. And
Because that's the point. The point is exploitation. They're going to drain every cent that they can, and then they'll peace out because they got all the money that they found that was worth. They don't care about the jobs. They don't care about the community.
pencils.
All of this is a facade. But when you go down deep in there, you're going to see the ugliness that we're going to be left with. Once the damage is done, they never look back.
It was an Apache fight, and it became a Native American fight. It became a state fight, and it became a country fight. Now it's a world fight, because it comes to survival, sustainability, really what gives us life.
In 2021, Wensler and Apache Stronghold sued the federal government over the controversial land swap, arguing that the deal had violated their constitutional right to practice their religion. The lawsuit will probably make its way to the Supreme Court.
We have 64 churches who are joining us in the Supreme Court, because once we go to Supreme Court, now everybody can join the fight.
There's also a bill proposed by Congressman Raul Grijalva and Bernie Sanders that would repeal the land swap entirely. But for now, Oak Flat is in legal limbo and Superior is at a crossroads. You know, it's so hard. This town doesn't look that different from my own. And I found it's really hard to make people believe that something other than the thing that made it great is going to bring it back. There's a lot of pride in places like this. Mining towns from Arizona to West Virginia dug up the raw materials that built this country.
Fire.
But today, they're some of the poorest, most polluted places in America. We're told that the copper here is essential.
The mining companies paying people in food stamps and backpacks and basically partially owning the town sounds like old school Rockefeller mining town shit. Yep. How is it that Bernie's on the right side of most every issue, at least eventually? Yeah, I mean, like, you know, most of the time the dude, you'll find the dude on the right side.
To fueling a new, more sustainable economy. But if my time here has taught me anything, it's that building wind turbines and solar panels won't be enough to solve the most basic problem we face: deciding who that economy will be for.
These companies say, oh, it's an Apache fight, it's a Native fight, has nothing to do with you. The people in these towns suffer from cancer, from no economy. They are the ones who are left behind. I think people have to realize that, because we are all the dust underneath the carpet when it comes to mining and corporations.
Most of the copper likely goes into weapon systems
Thanks
now.
for watching our video. If you
Bernie's the only one that does, that says and does anything. As far as American politicians go, yeah. All right, folks, we got to zoom past some of these. So, really quickly, Democratic Governor Tony Evers has vetoed a Republican bill that would have allowed teens to work without parental consent. Democratic governor yesterday vetoed a Republican bill that would have allowed 14 and 15-year-olds in Wisconsin to work without getting consent from their parents or a state permit. Evers vetoed the bill that passed the legislature with all Republicans in support and Democrats against it. The proposal came amid a wider push by state lawmakers to roll back child labor laws. And despite that effort, the efforts of federal investigators to crack down on a surge in child labor violations nationally. So this is good. This is good. I fully support this. Bernie's a sex worker hating colonialist. He's anti-sex work. This one's also important. New rule mandates 200 U.S. plants to reduce toxic emissions linked to cancer. Nice. The EPA doing, what they're supposed to do. More than 200 of the U.S. chemical plants will be mandated to reduce toxic emissions linked to cancer and better protect communities from hazardous pollution. The Biden administration announced on Tuesday the long-awaited rule finalized by the EPA will strengthen protections for communities living near industrial sites, especially along the Gulf Coast. The new updates focus on ethylene oxide used to produce antifreeze, pesticides, and sterilizing agents, as well as chloroprene, which is used to make synthetic rubber for shoes and wetsuits. President Biden believes every community in this country deserves to breathe clean air, the EPA Administrator Michael Regan, highlighting communities such as St. John the Baptist Parish in Louisiana. We promise to listen to folks that are suffering from pollution to act to protect them. Today we deliver on that promise with strong final standards to slash pollution and reduce cancer risk and ensure cleaner air for nearby communities. Remember the FOSTA Testa thing or whatever it was called? No. The FOSTA SESTA are U.S. Senate and House bills which became law on April 18th. They clarify the country's sex trafficking law to make it illegal to knowingly assist, facilitate, or support sex trafficking, and amend Section 230 Safe Harbors for the Communications Decency Act, which makes online services immune from civil liability. Senators Ron Perlman previously led the investigation in online classic service Backpage, which had been accused of facilitating child sex trafficking, and argued that Section 230 was protecting its unscrupulous business practices and was not designed to provide immunity to websites that facilitate sex trafficking. SESTA received bipartisan support from U.S. senators, the Internet Association, as well as companies as 21st Century Fox and Oracle, who supported the bill's goal to encourage proactive action against illegal sex trafficking. SESTA was criticized by pro-free speech groups for weakening Section 230 safe harbors, alleging that it would make providers more liable for any use of their platform that facilitates sex trafficking knowingly if they moderate such content, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I'll have to look. Oh, wait. These provisions do not apply to criminal and intellectual property. The Stop Advertising Victims of Exploitation Act made it illegal to advertise sex trafficking knowing benefits. Yeah, I have to look into this because I completely forgot about this. I completely forgot about this. I'll have to do more research on this one. Basically what happened was sex workers couldn't advertise anymore and Craigslist had to change all that. Yeah, okay, so that would make sense because they curtailed a lot of froze a lot of that from what I was reading. So that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. So it forces them back into street work or pimps. Yeah, not cool. And all under the guise of trying to protect people. I mean, like, yeah, that sucks. That's not cool. I don't agree with that. I'm pretty sure I did talk about this now that I think about it. I'll have to reread a lot of this, but yeah, some of it is starting to come back to memory. But think of the children. Last time the government updated the pollution, I remember because I was like, no, no, I don't agree with this. And then I never liked them. The last time the government updated the pollution limits for chemical plants was 2006. The strengthened rule would lower toxic pollutants by 6,200 tons a year and slash ethylene oxide and chlorine emissions by 80%. The new update under Clean Air Act would also require fence line monitoring of 6 toxic air pollutants: ethylene oxide, chlorine, vinyl chloride, benzene 1,3, and butadiene and ethylene dichloride. This shows the administration's commitment to the issue of environmental justice. This rule will reduce a lot of hazardous air pollutants. There will be less cancer based on these emissions, and there will be lives saved. So yeah, I don't disagree. The EPA should be doing more. So this is nice. This is nice to read. Occasionally, you'll get a lowercase w. More of this, please. Jennifer and James Crumbley, the parents of the Michigan school shooter, sentenced to 10 to 15 years for manslaughter. You know what? Good. Jennifer and James Crumbley, the parents of Oxford High School mass shooter, was sentenced to 10 to 15 years on Tuesday after each was found guilty of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. I can and will offer my deepest and most sincere condolences for your unfathomable losses, said Judge Matthews during the sentencing. Matthews said each action or inaction created a ripple effect, and she believes that sentences are in the best interest of justice and are reasonable and proportionate. Quote, parents are not expected to be psychic, but these convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that would have halted an oncoming runaway train, about repeatedly ignoring things that would have made a reasonable person feel the hair on the back of their neck. Guidelines in this manner do not capture the catastrophic impact the acts or in the action. And these matters, the guidelines do not take into account the complete lack of insight for both defendants and their behavior to this very day. The parents have already served 858 days in jail while awaiting trial, which will be deducted from their sentence. They have also been instructed to have no contact with the families of the victims. Given a statement in court Tuesday, Jennifer Crumbley sought to walk back her testimony during trial when she said that she would not have done anything different. James Crumbley, who wiped away tears at several points of his statement, asked to be sentenced in a fair and just way and asking for time served. Quote, you know what my son did, I was not aware of. The child's rare case of parents facing criminal charges and possible jail time for their role in a shooting carried out by their child. They could face up to 15 years in prison for each count, but prosecutors have asked 10 to 15 for total for each parent, according to the sentencing memo. Yeah, like, dude, this isn't like a whoopsie daisy. There was several failure points, and at some point, like, you know, accountability has to be done. No doubt about it. No sentence this court can administer will fix the damage caused by the shooting in November of 21. As the jury found the defendant's gross negligence was a cause of this damage, and she knew of the danger to another. It was reasonably foreseeable that her son would shoot somebody, but she failed to exercise even the smallest measure of care. Michigan sentencing guidelines call for a maximum punishment of about 7 years in jail. A sentence prosecutors said was not strong enough. Considering the guidelines, what those guidelines do and do not account for, and the objectives of sentencing, the severity of the circumstances in this case, and the defendant's total lack of remorse warrant a sentence that exceeds that applicable range. A sentence of up to 10 to 15 years imprisonment is proportionate to these offenses. Jennifer Crumbley's attorney had asked that she'd been sentenced to time served in house arrest. According to the defense's sentencing memo, James Crumbley asked for 28 months in prison, the amount of time he had already been spent locked up, with credit for time served as well as the maximum period of supervised release. Prosecutors came down especially hard on James Crumley in their ask for a longer sentence than the sentencing guidelines, pointing to threats he made over the phone from jail towards the district attorney and an instance of gesturing with his middle finger towards a prosecutor. Defendant's shameless lack of remorse in asking for time served and as an appropriate sentence is a slap in the face of the severity of the tragedy caused by his gross negligence to the victims of the family and to the applicable law that is premised on the concept of proportionate sentencing. I thought about this from a precedent perspective. Do we really want to prosecute parents for kids' decisions? Yes. Specifically for these decisions, yes. Because, like, man, you know, there has to be responsibility. And again, you know, the same example goes. Like, if you know, if you knowingly, you know, you're not going to get charged with the same crime, but if you knowingly give a criminal a firearm, you are responsible. You are responsible, right? You are responsible. If you, as a parent, allow access to a firearm to people who don't need to have access to firearms, whether it be children or people who aren't eligible to have or have access to firearms, then that is on you. That is your responsibility. That is your responsibility. You made that decision, like Mouselander just pointed out. You made that decision to purchase and give access to the firearm that led to this mass shooting. So therefore, yeah, dude, you shoulder some responsibility. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Who the hell else would be responsible? Right. Like, you know, obviously the person, you know, the gunman who did it has a responsibility. They're the ones who carried out the act. But so are the people that literally brought them the gun. So, yeah, you know. To this, I say, no tears are shed here. This is absolutely fine, and maybe, this should be a roadmap for more, or should paint a roadmap for gun control, because it is part of sensible gun laws. If you knowingly purchase a firearm, and that firearm gets used for something horrendous like that, then you know what? Yeah, dude, you shoulder some of that responsibility. When did this shooting happen? I thought it was the MSU one. This happened in 2021, I believe. I think you're right. It is the Michigan State. This was the Oxford High School mass shooting. There goes my baby's first AR at 50 I was going to have a monthly subscription for different types of ammo. So I had 2 school shootings in 2 years. Apparently. Unfortunately, these things are hard to keep track. As dark as that sounds, this is hard to keep track because there's so many incidents. That, yeah. My friend was working at the MSU one until a week before it happened. Jeez. Thank you to Echo Rest Dragon for posting this one. As well, but we're just going to go through this. New York court blocks Trump's $175 million bond. And the Attorney General, Letitia Peekaboo James, is set to seize assets, which please, the comments. Yeah. But please, if there's any assets that get seized, let it be the Trump Tower, okay? Let it be the Trump Tower. That's my only ask, okay? If there is one property that you need to seize to satisfy the judgment against Trump, please let it be the Trump Tower, okay? If not for the symbolism, okay? If for anything, the symbolism, okay? I remember Dawson College shooting pretty well. I wasn't there, but the shooter lived down my street across the street from my grade school. Jesus. Yeah, no kidding. Whew. Yikes. Yikes. I've been in the lobby of Trump Tower. It's very gaudy. I bet. Whew. Marjorie Taylor Greene escalates pressure on Speaker Johnson as ouster threat looms. Yes! Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia issued a searing indictment of House Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson in a new letter sent to her Republican colleagues on Tuesday. Today, according to a copy shared with CNN, in a significant escalation of her rhetoric as she tries to build support for potentially ousting Johnson. Yes! Let's do it. While Greene does not indicate if or when she plans to force a floor vote on Johnson's removal, the scathing rebuke marks her first direct pitch to the House GOP conference to join her push and indicates she's not backing down from her threat as lawmakers return to Washington following the 2-week recess. Yes. And my husband worked for the Justice Department for years in Colorado. He heard a few school shootings going down over the police radio. Just a terrible feeling. Yeah, I can only imagine. Man. That's horrible. That is horrible. And great country. Phenomenal stuff happening. Man, you have to be overly sarcastic about this because, man, that is dark. Seems Quebec decided to join America in that problem. Yikes. Specifically my area, too. I don't know what the deal is with that. Yikes. It doesn't matter how many of these incidents. I think someone in chat, or maybe I read it somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was one of you guys, maybe. posted something to the effect of like, yeah, once we got once we like basically didn't do anything about was it Sandy Hook? Once like we, and by we I mean just like as a country, once we decided that like no action was going to be taken after no meaningful action was going to be taken after Sandy Hook, like that was pretty much like that's pretty much it. I used to take that bus too. Sheesh. While Green does not indicate if or when she plans to force a floor vote on Johnson's removal, the scathing rebuke marks her first direct pitch to the House GOP conference to join her push and indicates that she is not backing down from her threat as lawmakers return to Washington following the 2-week recess. For his part, Johnson has tried to downplay the threat and attempted to ease tensions. Quote, "I respect Marjorie. She will always have an open door to the Speaker's office. We do have honest differences on strategy sometimes, but share the same conservative beliefs." Yeah. While the pair had said that they would connect last week, it didn't happen, a source told CNN. In the letter, Green laid out a detailed case against the Speaker, accusing Johnson of failing to deliver on promises he ran on and breaking legislative procedural rules. She even blamed him for jeopardizing the House Republican majority by not doing more to prevent some retiring GOP's members from leaving Congress early. Quote, "Mike Johnson has unfortunately not lived up to a single of his self-imposed tenets. He is throwing our own razor-thin majority into chaos by not serving his own GOP conference that elected him." As opposed to her, but, you know, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. While serving as Speaker, Johnson has faced a number of constraints as a result of the historically narrow House majority he presides over and has had to contend with Democratic-controlled Senate and the White House, leaving him little room to maneuver. In a sharp warning, Green also claimed that she would not tolerate Johnson's expected upcoming push to provide more aid to Ukraine, something he had voted against before he became Speaker, and pushed for reauthorization of a law that permits warrantless surveillance of foreign nationals. Green said that has not said how much support she has, but with upcoming resignation scheduled to give the House their narrowest majority yet, just a one-vote advantage, there is no margin for error, particularly in a Congress where any single lawmaker can force a vote seeking his ouster, where governing has proved to be near impossible at times. Nice. Yeah. The fact that they just have a simple one vote advantage just makes this just puts the cherry on top of this shit cake here that Republicans have constructed for themselves, and it's phenomenal. A number of House Republicans have voiced frustrations with Johnson, including GOP Representative Thomas Massey, Chip Roy, and Warren Davidson, but none have echoed Green's official calls to remove him. Which, by the way, it would just take one. At the same time, a significant number of House Republicans do not want to see Johnson removed from the speakership and fear a return to the chaos that engulfed the House GOP conference for weeks after former Speaker McCarthy was ousted in an unprecedented vote last year. Johnson has cautioned that triggering a vote over the gavel would not be in the best interest of House Republicans or efforts to expand their majority, saying in his statement to CNN last week, "A shutdown would not serve our party or assist us in our mission in issuing a new era of theocratic fascism, nor will any other motion to vacate." Sending the letter on the day the House returns from a 2-week recess escalates the warning that has been looming over Johnson since Green filed the motion to unseat him, and adds fuel to the inter-party division that have grown increasingly contentious since Johnson took over the speakership. Green ticked through a number of grievances that she has with the Louisiana Republican and argued that Johnson has hurt the chances of Republicans holding on to the House majority in November. Good. This has been a complete and total surrender to, if not a complete and total lockstep with Democrats' agenda that has angered our Republican base so much and given them little reason to vote Republican for a Republican House majority. As a matter of fact, if we win the House this fall, it will only be because President Trump is on the ballot, not because we have earned it. Okay. As it stands, Green's motion to oust Johnson remains a symbolic threat as a clock to force an actual vote has not been started. Shortly after she filed the motion, Green was sworn by her colleagues who want to avoid another dysfunctional process that created a leadership vacuum last year and brought the House floor action to a standstill for weeks. Part of the argument to try to dissuade Green from moving forward with the process, according to sources, is ousting Johnson would only deliver Democrats the House majority. Green dismissed that argument in her letter to colleagues on Tuesday, and no, electing a new Republican speaker will not give the majority to Democrats. That only happens if more Republicans retire early, or if Republicans actually vote for Hakeem Jeffries. It's not that complicated, it's simple math. But say two Republicans did. Then what? Then what? I say let them continue to fight. Marjorie Taylor Greene should continue to do this and sow chaos because this only hurts. This only hurts Republicans. So yeah, go for it. Keep it up. All right, folks. Arizona's top court revives the 19th century abortion ban. That's right, folks. Who needs a freaking time machine when you can just go to Arizona to the literal 1800s? Yeah. 1864. Who needs a freaking time machine when you can just go to Arizona, huh? Arizona's top court revives the 19th century abortion ban. Arizona's top court revived the law dating back to 1864 on Tuesday that bans abortions virtually in all instances, another setback for reproductive rights in a state where the procedure has already been barred at 15 weeks of pregnancy. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled 4-2 in favor of an anti-abortion obstetrician, and a county prosecutor took up the defense of the law after the state's Democratic Attorney General declined to do so. Justice John Lopez, who, like all of the court's members, was appointed by a Republican governor, wrote that to date, the state legislature has never affirmatively created a right to or independently authorized elective abortion. We defer, as we are constitutionally obligated to the legislative judgment, which is accountable to and thus reflects the mutable will of our citizens. Yeah, nice. No. The state high court lifted the stay on the enforcement of the 19th century law, but will only allow it to be enforced prospectively. It stayed the enforcement of its decision for 14 days to allow parties to raise any remaining issues at the trial court level. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, a Democrat, in a statement called the ruling unconscionable and an affront to freedom, and stressed that she would not prosecute any doctor or woman under the draconian law. Today's decision to reimpose a law from a time when Arizona wasn't a state, the Civil War was raging, and women couldn't even vote, will go down in history as a stain on our state. This is why it's so freaking important to stay engaged in local politics, okay? And in your state politics, because things like this matter. Having a Democratic Attorney General that will attempt to fight back in the areas that they can is incredibly important. Man, this is depressing. Today's decision to reimpose a law from a time where Arizona wasn't a state, the Civil War was raging, and women couldn't even vote will go down in history as a stain in our state. While Mays said she would not enforce the law, local prosecutors could. When Republican Yavapai County Attorney Dennis McGreen had intervened in the litigation to defend the statute in order to enforce it. The ruling marked the latest legal setback for bodily autonomy and abortion rights, following a ruling last week by the Florida Supreme Court that cleared the way for Republican-backed law banning abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy to take effect. States were allowed to adopt such bans after the conservative majority in the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade that had made access to abortion a constitutional right nationwide. Democratic President Biden, in a statement, called the Arizona ruling the result of an extreme agenda of Republican elected officials who are committed to ripping away women's freedom. Millions of Arizonans will soon live under an even more extreme and dangerous abortion ban, which fails to protect women even when their health is at risk, or tragic cases of rape or incest, which that was never going to be the case. As we've seen, 14 other states have banned nearly all abortions since the Supreme Court ruling. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump on Monday said access to abortion should be determined by the states and stopped short of proposing a national ban that could imperil his chances with swing voters in okay, I see. Yeah, never mind. That could imperil his chances with swing voters in the November election. Is Restream bot human or AI? Neither. It's just a chat bot. It's just a chat bot because Restream is a service, for lack of a better term. It's a streaming service that allows me to multi-stream, so I can simultaneously input my Twitch credentials, my YouTube credentials, and simultaneously broadcast. And Restream puts everything into one chat, so what you're seeing is what you're seeing is the chats from everybody, and the people on Twitch can actually see your chat, even though you're on YouTube. It just gets re-forwarded by the bot, which is a part of the whole software service. The little bot kind of does that. So its job is to essentially unite the chats, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if the Restream bot does anything else, to be honest. I haven't really played with it. A bot, that's right. I understand. Thanks, no problem. Welcome, Fishbone. Yeah, it basically connects. It bridges the two chats and two channels, for lack of a better term. But yeah, actually, that's a very good question. I wonder, like, if Restream bot does anything else. I may have to look into it. In Arizona, the issue could ultimately be decided by the voters after a group of abortion right advocates last week said it gathered enough signatures to put on November ballot a measure that would enshrine in the state's constitution a right to an abortion until fetal viability. Chess Bator, welcome. And now you know I'm a boomer. Nah, it's all good. At issue in the Arizona Supreme Court case was an 1864 law that banned abortions except to save the woman's life and imposed a penalty of up to 5 years in prison for anyone who performs the abortion. Planned Parenthood, which provide abortions and other healthcare services, sued the state in 1971 to challenge that 1864 law. A judge ruled in Planned Parenthood's favor and issued an order blocking the law following the Supreme Court's landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. In March of 2022, the governor at the time, Republican Doug Ducey, signed a new law that banned abortions after 15 weeks. Like the 1864 statute, it carries a penalty of up to 5 years in prison for anyone who performs or helps a woman obtain an abortion. I think the U.S. lacks the true left. Democrats are center to center right. Republicans, especially Trumpists, are right to far right. This will change anytime soon. Doubt it. Yeah, I think that's true. We don't really have, in terms of like actual electoral politics, like there is a true left movement, and you can see it. You can see it in the protests. You can see it in the labor movement. You can see it in the human rights movement. But as far as like politically, in terms of electoralism, no. We have no like left-wing parties that have any kind of true power, if that makes sense. I mean, Bernie Sanders is considered a leftist, and I don't consider him, and I don't even consider him slightly left. So the definition of left just means typically, because I know there's a lot of different types of lefties, but typically like the main crossover between left and right is basically like, how anti-capitalist are you? Does that make sense? And I would argue that Bernie has more anti-capitalist sentiments than he does pro-capitalist sentiments. I agree, but progressives are growing. I maybe, maybe, maybe. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, and I would like to see more progressives in actual Congress and Senate and Congress and House. In July of 2022, the then Republican Attorney General Mark Brnovich filed a motion in the Planned Parenthood case to challenge the judicial order that blocked the 1864 law and let prosecutors enforce the ban. A court granted that request in September of 2022 after Planned Parenthood appealed. A state appellate court in December once again blocked the 1864 ban from being enforced against doctors, though it allowed enforcement against non-physicians who performed abortions. The state's newly elected Democratic governor, Katie Hobbs, and Attorney General Mays declined to appeal further. That led obstetrician Eric Hazelrig and McGrain to intervene in the case to defend that 1864 law before the state Supreme Court. Hazelrig runs a network of crisis pregnancy centers, facilities where pregnant women are counseled against having abortions. Yeah, this makes freaking sense. This tracks. They are represented by Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative legal group behind other challenges to abortion rights, including an effort to restrict access to the abortion pill. Vice Chief Justice Ann Timmer, in an opinion joined by Chief Justice Robert Brutno, dissented from Tuesday's ruling, saying the legislator intended for a near-total abortion ban, to take effect, they could have done so during the 2023 session. And in my view, the majority mistakenly returned us to the territorial area abortion statute last operative in 1973. She said, I would leave it to the people and the legislature to determine Arizona's course in the wake of Roe's demise. So now that we have that into perspective, let's take a look at the very normal and very hinged response. What do you think about the rise of the far right across Europe in the past year? They even won elections in countries like Italy and Hungary. I don't know, I haven't followed too much, but I do know that is a thing. Viktor Orban. So yeah, I do know that is a thing. I do know that the far right has gained some footing, particularly and also countries like Germany, where the AfD has gained a disturbing amount of ground. Italy elected the that lady who is literally adjacent to, or if not the same party from Mussolini or something to that effect. Meloni, isn't that her name? Meloni. She was the literal In Greece, the members of the neo-Nazi party went to jail. Good. And a descendant, was she not? I think so. I think that was her. A descendant, or was it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Something to that effect. Ciao, Giulio Cesare Mussolini. They're both members of the Brothers of Italy, and Meloni is the leader. Yes, which is the far right party. Yeah, I think that that might not have been her. I think the lady we're talking about is Rachel Mussolini, and she was the one, with all this Brothers of Italy. So yeah, that's yeah, I think this is who we're talking about. Who we're talking about. But yeah, I think she's not a great look when that's the counselor of your party, right? All right, folks. So yes, the normal and hinged response. Let's do it.
Let it be so, Father God. Let it be so. Let it be so. Let it be so, Father God. Let it be so. Let it be so. Lord, right now we just release the presence of the Lord in the Senate chamber. We just release the hovering glory of God Almighty in the Senate chamber. We just pray right now, Lord God, over every desk.
Completely cool and allowed to I guess happen in a government place. This is in the Arizona Senate floor. These absolutely delusional people are literally praying in tongues for the Supreme Court decision to go their way, which ultimately it did. And as the caption points out, there's a January 6th insurrectionist and one of the fake electors who participated in the overturning of the election in this. So I think that kind of encapsulates the entire. I think that perfectly encapsulates what we're dealing with when we see these anti or rather forced birth movements. I think that that is a perfect encapsulation of what's going on here. I mean, this is just delusional. Also, like, this shouldn't even be allowed in a state Senate floor or state House floor, in a federal House or Senate floor. This should not be allowed, by the way, in my opinion.
Lord, right now we just release the presence of the Lord in the Senate chamber. We just release the hovering glory of God Almighty.
This isn't even decided on the Senate floor, is it? This is for the Supreme Court, unless that's where they're going to rule.
In the Senate chamber, we just pray right now, Lord God, over every desk.
Yeah. They're using America Circle thing as a prayer circle. Yep. Separation of church and state. Exactly. Very normal, very hinged group of people, huh? The Jesus Camp kids grown up. Yep. That's exactly it. All right, folks, I got to get going. I'm really hungry. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you, Conscious Canuck Heat. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you, guys. Make sure you spread the word. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Again, if you want to support the channel, make sure you follow, like, do all the awesome stuff, share. Again, spread the word. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. And join us on movie nights. Thank you, Mouselander. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kamikaze, and I appreciate it. Thank you to Michael Hassler. Thank you to Heat for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Old Snake Twitch. Thank you, Fishbone. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Irked. I appreciate it. Thank you, Conscious Canuck. Thank you, Kinetic Pause. Thank you. Did I get everybody? The Ponder Monkey. Thank you for mixing it up in the chat. Stuffed Pink Owl. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Blue Brother. Thank you. Kinetic Pause. Thank you. Heat is who brought me here. Appreciate it. Firefly, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Hang tight, folks. We are heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.